Hello again, beautiful people. We have the lovely Denise Ramon, who's so lucky because she lives near Canyon Lake or in Canyon Lake, and she's well, not in
Yeah.
the lake, but she dog paddles. Yeah, so she's lucky to move away from Galveston, which is probably going to be hit by all sorts of hurricanes this year. Geez, hopefully.
Ooh, we.
But that's neither here nor there. We've got Erik. He's going to help us. She's a wonderful channel and a healer. You need to check her out. Her information, basically deniseramon.com, is in the description box, but will also appear on the screen. So we're going to talk about, I have questions from the community, hypnotherapy, pain body, and our memory. I know what hypnotherapy is a thing, but pain body, I don't know. I've heard it, but that's it. So Erik, are you ready to rock and roll? I love you.
He says I am, and he says I love you, and he's just. It's like he's giving you a big squeeze. It's almost like angelic arms around you. He's giving you a big hug. Yeah. He says he's ready.
Need all the
Seems
help.
very light. He says this is a light topic.
Okay, good. Because there's a lot of dark shit going around. So we need some light and some edification. All right. First question. Well, first, let me ask you a question. What is hypnotherapy and what is the pain body?
Well, Erik says hypnotherapy is. It's like he says it's kind of similar to like past life regression. It brings you back, brings you back to the origins of what's really troubling you, like what's the real cause of what's troubling you. And it helps you to see that in a gentler, softer, safe, peaceful way.
Okay. Does it work?
Erik says it does, it does, of course, the participant who's doing it and he's showing me, and the facilitator, when they work together, he says beautiful healing can take place. But he says the participant is the one that says, okay, I'm going to allow this to take what it needs to do and stuff. So there can be some resistance, he said, from the participant. And that usually is a thing of fear or something.
Yeah, of course.
Scared to go, I guess, under.
Well, this person who asked, does it work, says it really didn't work for her or him. But maybe this other question will help with that. Why is it that Dolores Cannon was able to help a patient in one session and now a days therapist require at least 6 sessions?
Erik says the person that Dolores Cannon was able to do in one session, it wasn't that was the only thing that they've ever done. They've been working on stuff, but that person was ready on all levels to let go of it, and there was no resistance in going through that. And he says, and not to mention that Dolores Cannon is the queen of that work, is what he's telling me.
I'm sure some are better than others.
Yeah, Erik
says better, but more experienced than others.
Yes, Erik says yes. That's a good word, and he's saying more seasoned, like knowing what to look for. And yes, he said yes.
Okay. How did you get in here? I closed all.
I think Brune let her in because I saw him right there come in and open up the door.
Okay. Because we were sitting our grand dogs, a King Cavalier puppy, who chews on everything, and she gets into the wires here, so I had to watch for it. And then Lilu, a Maltese. Anyway, that is not important. What is important is when they do hypnotherapy, do they go into past lives as well, or even future lives, or just like a present life thing?
Erik says it can be all three. It's what he's saying. It's dependent on where the client is, he's saying, and he's calling it client based on that there, there's he says based on where the client is and where they're wanting to go, because the client, the participant, never goes anywhere where they're not willing to go. So the facilitator can't bring you somewhere that on a conscious level, subconscious level, whatever, you're not ready to go there.
What about between lives? What, like when you're planning your next incarnation? Can you get
Erik says with some people, with some facilitators, they can do that for you.
Okay.
But they're the ones that are like knowing what they're doing. That's their intention to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think implants are a way to go with memory problems? I don't know what that is. If that's a physical implant or.
Well, Erik is showing me that some people are energetically putting implants in and doing that. But he says, so yes, that can help. But I also feel like the question that this person is asking is that they have watched or seen something about doing some sort of implant of some sort to help with memory. And Erik says that's a whole nother topic, is what he's saying, that part. Yeah.
Okay, so basically I looked up because the next question says QHHT, and I know that's a Dolores Cannon thing. Quantum healing hypnosis technique. Is that what we're talking about here? Or is it just one sector of
one of them, Erik says, and I took that Dolores Cannon course because and you know, that is different than regular hypnosis or hypnotherapy and that, but it's a technique that anybody can learn who has the desire. Erik is saying, in the way Erik shows me, it really goes, in a sense, deeper than what he's shown me into the person's subconscious so that they can pull out whatever it is that's getting in the way of their moving forward, their healing, or whatever you want to choose to call it. Yeah.
It says it allows people to access a part of themselves that holds all the answers. Some people call this the higher self, the oversoul, the superconscious. With QHHT, clients are able to have a much clearer understanding of why things are the way they are and ultimately to create change within themselves. That sounds awesome. Wow. Okay.
It is. I felt so drawn to take that course. And I know without absolute doubt that can heal anyone and anything if the person is ready for that to be done.
Yeah. Wow. I recently had an Akashic record reading and was told there was a traumatic death that I needed to work through because it is affecting my lifetime now. I can imagine. Curious as to whether QHHT or energy healing is the best route.
Erik is telling me yes, and he says, and that traumatic death is what gets in that person's way. I feel like it's a she is getting in her way. That's what gets into her hesitation of doing things. We can label it many other things, but Erik has shown me, yes, that would definitely help her. And the reason why it's there is because it's there for her to heal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you think QHHT or would it be better to have a past life regression or just regular?
Both. Well, QHHT, Erik is showing me, is basically past life regression. Yeah. It's the technique that separates just someone who does past life regression as opposed to QHHT. There's a technique that the QHHT has that just a person who does past life doesn't do.
Okay.
And I just feel like the other one is in more of the way Erik is showing me, does more of a deep healing and a clearing when you come out of it. Yeah.
Okay. What can we do to experience a memory that includes the 5 senses within a dream? Can we get into a dream and tap into a memory that enables can use all of our senses?
Erik says yes. You know, when the higher self, the subconscious is ready for that, when you've prepared, that he's showing me like the foundation for that healing, because there's some things that we're not ready to know because we haven't done the prep work to be able to handle it. So he's showing me that, but but that doesn't mean you can't start the prep work and source spirit and the desires you have to do this kind of stuff is definitely helping you to to prep the foundation so that you can do this.
Oh, wow. If we lived multiple lives as different people with different people, how can our soul be in heaven, experience those people from different lives while we live a physical life at the same time?
Erik says this is what the majority of us struggle with really understanding, because he says there is no separation.
Yeah.
And he says that in knowing that there is no separation isn't up here, it's knowing within us.
Yeah.
Because when we know there's no separation, he says then it's not so confusing for us, but he says it's more like the way he's shown me, it's kind of like you got to sit with that feeling. Because when you sit with that feeling and you really get that connection of there's no separateness, then you can see how we're everywhere. We're not just here. We're everywhere. We're more than just this body. Our soul is more than just this body.
Okay. That's true. And also time, linear time is a human construct. So it's hard to imagine.
Correct.
I had that life with that person, now I'm in heaven. So it makes it a lot more difficult. But yeah, Erik says
it keeps us confused. And Erik says it's almost like we're trying to bring in our humanness to understand the authenticness or whatever, the consciousness. We're trying to get that humanness and you can't. It doesn't mix well. And sometimes even I have to just go, I don't understand it. I just know.
There's not, sometimes it's just not words. Or
right.
The Atlantean times they used ideograms, like symbols that represented total ideas, which is much more advanced than us having to have letters, making words, making paragraphs, all right, could you possibly talk about memories that people think but never really happen? Oh my God, my husband has these different memories, like a memory of that he thought that some van caught fire or some motorcycle, I can't remember. And I have this memory of having a moped, but I'm not ever sure I really did. So what's going on there? Is it timeline jumping or something? Or lunacy?
Erik says for you, like when you had a memory or something about being on a moped, he's telling me for you, because you were on a moped, but it was like, I guess you could say you were jumping timelines in a sense, but you were doing that like when you were sleeping, you were somewhere else doing those things.
Oh.
And so that's why you have that, even though it's like, I've never owned, how could I? Because you were actually doing those things. Erik says we're very active when we're sleeping. We're not just out there in the ether world. Sometimes we're here doing things and experiencing things because there's not enough so-called time in your lifetime, and you still want to experience that, and or you can't experience it with where you are right now, so you can go and experience somewhere else.
Interesting. Well, my parents wouldn't have let me do it, so that's fine. And I didn't have any money, so I couldn't buy one. All right. So any others? Like my husband, did that thing burn up? Whatever, that vehicle burn up, and he just forgot about it, and then remembered it?
Erik says for him, Erik says he did witness something like that, and I feel like he did witness that. And I feel like when he was like young, like maybe 20 or something, he did remember. Yeah, he did witness that.
Well, the way those Vikings or ex-Vikings drink, probably those little memory cells that split up in the brain, Back then, they did a lot of drinking. All right, is there such thing as ancestral memory in humans? Like instincts exist in animals. We have instincts too. We are animals. But is there something called an ancestral memory?
Erik says, yes, there is. There is. Erik says, this is like where we get these thoughts to do things that we never thought to do before, these ideas and stuff. He says, that's where this stuff is coming from. It's already out there, and we've already, we've had this or we've seen it or whatever. So this is absolutely, he said, yes.
So when they say ancestral, does that mean one of our ancestors did such and such, and that was kept in our DNA, our spiritual DNA? Maybe, I'm not sure. Our ancestral DNA.
Yeah, yes. Erik shows me it's capsulated in there somehow. The way he showed me, it's capsulated in there, and then it's you have the free option choice is what he's saying, to go connect with that, because it's how is he showing me, it's still a fascination or a desire that's within that.
Oh,
that the way he showed me, it's like a tube, I guess, like the ancestral. Yeah, and some of these things he said is that some of these things for some people it's they didn't have everything they needed to act on it, participated or whatever. So they were waiting for time for maybe technology to be here, and us for us to have the money, the knowledge or whatever. And so then that memory just kind of opens up for you or whoever, not just you personally, but forever. And sometimes it makes people the hero because they created something, invented something, or did something, or they stopped something. But it's not just that person, it's all the other people behind them.
What is spiritual DNA?
I have no clue. Let me ask Erik. Spiritual DNA. Erik is telling me spiritual DNA is he says it's anything that is a derivative from what we would label as good.
Okay.
That we have first choice to pick from. We have options to pick from it.
Okay.
It's for us to have if we want it.
Interesting. How can we improve our memory during the stages like menopause, old age, conditions like hypothyroidism, etc.?
Erik says reading.
Oh, yeah.
Reading anything. Learning another language.
Yeah, I bet.
Anything mathematical, he says, will, because you're using different parts for all
puzzles.
of this. And he says puzzles.
Visual,
and he says
spatial.
Yes, yeah. And he said all of this definitely, because it's like you're exercising your brain. So it's like constantly keeping it fresh, and you're getting younger cells. I want to say,
brain.
You're just
you can regenerate. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're keeping the flow of everything going and stuff. And of course, how you eat and all that other great stuff that but exercise, physical exercise of some sort. But he says the main thing, though, he's telling me, is reading and learning a language and doing anything that's mathematical.
Okay, makes sense. I used to practice doing this working memory math where you do a sum and then you add to the previous number. I can't remember, but it was bad because my working memory, because I had that cardiac arrest when I was an infant, is just awful. But anyway, why and how does the pain body form? Why do we even form it at all? The pain body. I'm gonna look that up.
The pain body. So Erik says they're talking about the body, that holds the pain and stuff like that. Because he's telling me for the physicalness of it, it's easier for us, like on a memory level and stuff, to just kind of store it somewhere else so that we can still keep moving forward, so to speak, and keep our daily lives going, keep breathing, he said. And,
I'll read, hang on.
Go ahead.
Interrupt. I'll read it here on Google. The pain body is a concept introduced by spiritual author Eckhart Tolle in his book, A New Earth. It describes a negative energy field of old emotions that can exist in almost every person, and it can take many forms: hurt, hate, depression, self-hate, anxiety, fear, alienation, despair, emotional drama, blame, etc., etc. So it's like trapped emotions, huh?
That's it. That is what it is. Because Erik says, because you store it, so it's like you take it away from the front of your face and you put it somewhere behind you, but it still stays within you.
Sweeping it under the rug doesn't work, people.
No, because he says when you continue to sweep it under the rug, next thing you know, you have these mountains in your rugs, he said. So, and it comes up in our body, and our body is telling us when we have these pains, it's not something to say, go take some aspirin or a pain pill. It's let's check in to see what's really going on there. Like what is that attached to? And if we let it go too long, then that's when it creates a very chronic, acute, he's saying acute
cancer.
Sir Erik says is a direct stem from anger is what it is, and it just depends on where, it just depends on where it is, anger, grief or whatever. And, but yeah, it definitely will cause all sorts of problems, so that's what it is. So as you start to heal yourself within, not physically, but heal yourself with letting go of things, you'll start noticing things going away. Like weight loss is a big one, he says.
Yeah.
These people that hold, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to have the courage to face the pain, the emotional pain, the emotional drama, etc., and to just feel it so you can release it.
Well, Erik says you need...
Every pain has its story, and you just have to...
It does. And Erik says this is why you need somebody who can help you facilitate through that, because people say, well, you just need to heal your childhood. Well, how in the heck do I go and do that? What do I do? What do I do? And it's like, you need someone to help you, give you a book to read, get you on a path, someone that can guide you, someone that can tell you how to go do it. Erik says the majority of us know we got some shit going on, but how do you get to the shit when you can't smell it, taste it, or whatever?
Yeah. But feelings can't kill you, okay? They're uncomfortable, but just going through uncovering the story behind the pain, etc. But trapped emotions can kill you in the way of heart disease, cancer, etc. So it is a better choice, people. Does back pain in the body in this lifetime mean that I have unresolved karmic issues from a previous life?
Erik says this particular person that's asking this question, no, of course, when you heal the stuff in this life, it's not like everything's just amazing in this life and there's nothing you need to do and that's all from the previous life. There's stuff going on in this life with this person, and this is where Erik says, I'm going to use strong will instead. This is where your strong will gets into play, kicks in and becomes more active. Then do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Erik is saying.
Oh, that's a big
Because
one.
I feel a very strong will in that question from that person.
All right. But I guess you can fall and break a vertebra in your back and have back pain from that. Does it always have to be another life?
No, what Erik says is there could be previous lifetimes that you are working on the same situation that you're working on in this lifetime. It may be a different scenario, but the same root situation is the same. Like you could be working on self-love in this lifetime, and it's also was previous lifetimes as well. But the way you did it in the previous lifetime and how you're doing it today could be a different scenario. Because Erik said you don't play the same song and dance, the same scene over and over. You have different partners, it's different situations from lifetime to lifetime.
Okay. In the spiritual sense, how and where are memories stored? I understand our memories from this lifetime are stored in the brain and also possibly in another way, in an energetic sense. How does that work? What about spirits? Like our spirits, guides, angels, loved ones in spirit. They do not have a physical brain. How do they remember things? Where and how are their memories stored? Really cool
Well,
question.
well, for us, that is so. For us, all of our previous lifetimes are stored. They're in our cellular memory within us, and that's why we can do the past life regressions and stuff. It's because it's within us.
Yeah.
Now, how the other beings of light, as I like to call them, how they have that memory, because Erik says it's basically the same thing. It's because it's energy and it's frequency. It's all in there.
Yeah.
All,
Everything.
all there was and is and ever will be is in that energetic field. So as he says.
Okay. Love to know how more about aphantasia, which is the inability to visualize. Can hypnosis work on somebody that has that? They're not able to visualize?
I didn't know there were people that couldn't do that. And
Yeah, I've
my
heard of
partner
it, but
can't. My partner can't
oh
do it like
wow.
that. And I learned that doing QHHT. I had someone that
Yeah.
couldn't. So it's like you need to show pictures
Oh,
so that they can, yeah, because they just can't go there. I
that's a good
didn't know
idea.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Erik says, you know, there's pluses and minuses to not being able to and to be able to. So just know that. He says it's kind of like people, there's pros and so-called cons to having kids and not having
Yeah.
kids. So he said, so it is with this. But Erik says for those who really want to visualize because they feel like something's wrong with them, which there is absolutely nothing wrong with them. Everything is in here is okay,
Yeah.
he's saying. But if you want to start practicing this, Erik says, because you can activate that, start activating that muscle. He says, so go outside or in the house, wherever, whatever it is you see. But he's showing me a flower you see outside. And, so every time you go outside, take that memory of that flower that you saw before and visualize seeing it all over your yard.
Oh, okay.
And even though the flower isn't there anymore because they die off and stuff, and he's saying even a good one to do is like these orchids you buy in the store and then the flowers fall off.
Yeah.
So get a picture of the orchid and goes, if you have to take it with your phone and just every day go and visualize the flowers on the orchid or the flowers in the yard or whatever. He said you can visualize seeing 50 red trucks in your yard if that's what you want, whatever it is you want, but just practice seeing that. And he says, and you're going to start seeing a difference. But he says the thing is it has to be done.
Over
He
and
says,
over.
do it like it. Yes. He says, do it like as if you're trying to build a six pack on your chest.
Yeah.
You have to do it every day.
So, and you could use other senses like smells and feelings. And
You
stuff,
can,
right?
you definitely can to help
Okay.
bring that in. And Eric does say, when you mention that, Eric does say, just because they can't visualize doesn't mean all their other senses aren't in. He said some people who can't visualize can smell 3 miles away
Oh.
almost, you know, or they can hear things or they can feel things. So, you know, he's really wanting people to know that there's nothing wrong with you if you can't do that, because you can pick up on other things that other people can't.
All right. Well, let's end part 1 here. You guys,
Okay.
y'all hit the notification bell and subscribe so that you don't miss part 2. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Denise. Again, check her
Thank
out in
you.
the description box on the screen. I love you guys. Bye.
Bye.